Hello everyone, welcome back. Duval Mafia here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the Urban Meyer situation. I'm going to be talking about interim head coach Darrell Bevell and what I think about it as it stands right now. And I'm going to look at a few of the potential candidates to be the Jaguars' next head coach going into 2022. To touch quickly on the wrap-up of the Urban Meyer situation, I will say I respect Urban for being nothing but respectful and mature about his release from the Jaguars as the head coach. And I will also say the Jaguars are attempting to null and void the final 4 years of Urban Meyer's 5-year contract as the head coach due to him being fired for the causes that he was, which is detrimental to the team and all that stuff. He wasn't fired basically just for being bad. He was fired for his off-field actions and his actions as the head coach, which I agree with, and hopefully the Jaguars do not have to pay him the remaining of his contract. He will probably contest it, and it will probably be a very interesting situation, and I will hold my breath on it, because if the Jaguars have to end up paying him the next 4 years, it'll suck, but hopefully that it does go all smooth sailing, and from there, nothing will happen more. And to jump into more of Darrell Bevell and him being interim head coach, he's probably going to be the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. And I actually like this because in every interview he's done so far as the interim head coach or the step-in head coach, whatever you want to call it, he's actually seemed a lot more comfortable and free. And you can kind of tell that Urban Meyer was being a negative influence on him. I mean, it's quite apparent and honestly very obvious. And I will say, Darrell Bevell himself, as well as many of the players, and one that sticks out to me is Trevor Lawrence, have looked much more comfortable in these interviews, which is something that I really like, and I'm actually hoping sticks long-term with this team, whether Darrell Bevell stays on this staff or not. Honestly, I feel like I was a little harsh on Bevell because now that Urban Meyer's gone, he's honestly acting like a completely different coach. He seems so much more comfortable, and I'm actually extremely happy to see how he's feeling now. He's also talking about how he's going to utilize James Robinson, how he should be utilized, and how Urban Meyer shouldn't have benched him, and all that type of stuff. And Urban Meyer even came out and admitted that James Robinson was benched, and it was a bad look for him. But obviously, it's said and done, set in stone now. There's nothing you can do about it. But Darrell Bevell did come out and adamantly say that James Robinson is the starting running back for this team, and he's going to use him as such, which I like to see. I like to see him basically coming in and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this how it should be done, and I'm not going to try to be cute with it like Urban Meyer was doing, who was trying to basically beat the system. He was trying to be like, oh, Carlos Hyde is more of a difference maker than James Robinson, which is just not ever going to be true. He was trying to be almost like smarter than the rest by playing Carlos Hyde more, which failed miserably because now he's not the head coach. And to look into the potential 2022 candidates for the head coaching position, and this list is brought to you by Jordan Schultz via Twitter, and this list goes as Byron Leftwich, Brian Dable, Todd Bowles, Doug Peterson, and Josh McDaniels as all potential head coaching candidates for 2022 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it goes as previous head coach Urban Meyer was fired this week after a 2-11 start to his first season in the NFL. Darrell Bevell is set to serve as the interim head coach for the remainder of 2021. Jacksonville has already clinched double-digit losses for the 4th straight season, while the franchise has just 1 year with a winning record since 2007, which came in 2017. To start off the list with Doug Peterson, who's 53 years old, he is the most successful head coach on this list, and he led the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl in the 2017 season, and with the Eagles he produced a 42-37-1 record across 5 years, and he was fired in 2020 with a 4-11-1 record. Next on the list is McDaniels, who struggled as head coach for the Denver Broncos over 2 seasons with an 11-17 record, but he excelled as an offensive coordinator during his career with the New England Patriots. In his first 12 seasons running the Patriots offense, the 45-year-old has led top 10 scoring attack 11 times out of the 12 seasons. Bowles went 24-40 during 4 seasons as the New York Jets head coach, although he has also thrived as a coordinator. The 58-year-old helped Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl last season and has navigated injuries to keep the unit tough again in 2021. Leftwich is also on the Tampa Bay supporting cast as the team's offensive coordinator, and the unit is even better in 2021, currently ranking first in the NFL in both points scored and total yards. Even without head coaching experience, the 41-year-old is clearly a coach on the rise and will probably be a head coach for the next couple of years. And then my personal favorite on the list is Brian Daboll, who's 46. He's also seeking his first head coaching position after 8 years as an NFL coordinator. He's led the Bills to a number 2 offense in the NFL last season, and they remain in the elite squad with the 6th most points in the NFL up to date. Now, turning things around in Jacksonville is not going to be easy for any of these guys, and we're all going to need somebody with a good mixture of youth, experience, and also basically how I'm going to say this is modern thoughts. So we don't need a Tom Coughlin. We don't need somebody who's going to run this team like it's the 1990s or the early 2000s. We need a almost LA Rams Sean McVay type of head coach who's going to help Trevor Lawrence reach his full potential with us. And on this list, the two that jump out to me for that, which are both offensive-minded coaches, are Byron Leftwich and Brian Daboll, who are probably the top 2 on my list. But any of the guys on this list I'd honestly be happy with except for Todd Bowles. I don't really like Todd Bowles as a head coach. Nothing against the guy. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, a great defensive mind. I just don't see him succeeding as a head coach in the NFL. I don't think he has enough offensive knowledge to be a head coach. Now, if you give him an elite offensive coordinator, maybe he can. But my top 2 guys on the list are easily Brian Daboll, number 1, and Byron Leftwich, number 2. Number 3 would probably be Doug Peterson. I like how he is. And that 2017 Phillies team, he led a backup quarterback to the Super Bowl. And, I mean, he was a great coach. Everybody remembers the Philly special. And then Josh McDaniels, I don't mind him. But, again, I don't think he's going to leave New England. He's been there for a very long time at this point. As well as, I really don't know if he'll succeed as a head coach. I mean, he had the attempt in Denver, and he got fired after 2 seasons. And they were both not great seasons. They did not make the playoffs either season. So, Brian Daboll would be my number 1 guy. I think he has the perfect energy that this locker room needs. I think he's the exact type of coach that this team needs. And Byron Leftwich is also number 2. Is a close number 2 for me, I should say. He's a very close number 2. I think Byron Leftwich would be another great mind to add to this coaching staff and to help this team grow into something special. A couple other guys that come on to mind are Kellen Moore out of Dallas, the offensive coordinator. I think he's a very, very offensive guru type mind, like Sean McVay level. I just don't know if he has enough true experience to him to be an NFL coach just yet. He could be a Sean McVay type of risk with little experience, but a huge potential to be a great coach. And that's part of the reason why I would like to see him. I wouldn't be mad with him, but we would also have to understand that there's a legitimate chance that he would not make it as the head coach, because I don't know if he has that to his game. I love him as an option, but again, he's very young, and I don't know if he's quite there yet to be a whole head coach instead of an offensive coordinator. The number 1 on many guys' lists, though, is Doug Peterson, who is probably my number 3. I think he's a safe pick because he won a Super Bowl in 2017, which is a great thing for a resume. And I mean, he's a very good coach. Now, some didn't like the hire in Philadelphia, and that aged very badly because, I mean, he obviously went on to win a Super Bowl, and he led that team to a couple good seasons behind Carson Wentz, who then got injured and then helped with Nick Foles. And, I mean, they won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. And they went up against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl as well. I mean, this is just... you can't not be impressed by that. So, any of those 3 guys for me would be a very good head coach going into the season, and I would give it an A or maybe even an A+. Brian Daboll, Byron Leftwich, Doug Peterson, those 3 guys for me are the 3 that stick out the most. And in that order, Brian Daboll, Byron Leftwich, and of course Doug Peterson. Now, 1 and 2 are closer to me. Peterson is a pretty far number 3 in my eyes. Now, I do like him, but I don't think he's got the potential to be like a Bill Belichick for us or a Sean McVay for us. I think he'll just be a decent coach. I want a coach that could really grow and come to Jacksonville and make something special here with Trevor Lawrence. Now, there's a lot that could happen. I could be completely wrong. Another name that has been thrown around is Eric Bieniemy, who I liked last year, and I do like him as a candidate. But after what happened last offseason with all the stuff surfacing about him, I don't know if he's going to be in the market to be a head coach. It's very possible that he can be, but when there's off-the-field issues involved, it's very hard for a person to get hired as a head coach. But clearly with the Urban Meyer situation, Shad Khan is willing to overlook that for the right coaches. Now in this case it wasn't the right coach, but he did try. I will give him all of the, whatever you want to call it, I guess, props that he tried to get a big name head coach to come in here and build something special. I will give him respect for that. And I'm also giving him respect for making a move quickly and realizing, you know what, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to let this run for 4 seasons like he did with Doug Marrone or he did with other coaches in the past. But to quickly wrap up this video, I'm going to say my final list as a top 3 will be Brian Daboll, number 1. He'd be my number 1 candidate, and the Jaguars should be all over him this offseason. Byron Leftwich is a close number 2 for me. Another one that should be all over the Jaguars list. If the Jaguars miss out on Byron Leftwich and Brian Daboll, they should be going for Doug Peterson with everything they've got. He'd be a safe number 3, and he's a good backup plan for the Jaguars to have on their back burner in case they miss out on any of those top 2 guys for me. And without further ado, I'm going to say, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe if you're new, and as always, peace out, Duval.